So with 2019 being all fresh and new, I figured now would be a perfect time to really kind of start off from the very, very beginning, still since we're in the beginning of the year, and that is a couple of things to think about before you start your mobile welding business or any welding business of any sort that you want to start. There's two things that are very important, and I'm going to elaborate more on them. I've even got some notes here that I'm going to read off of. I'm a little bit prepared today instead of just flying by the seat of my pants today. So, number one, most welding businesses will fail, and it's probably from the owner's fault. Meaning, if a business fails, it's no one else's fault but your own. You can't blame it on anyone or say that someone else, messed you over, or you didn't bid the job right because of something, or you bought too much, too fancy of a truck, or you went into too much debt. You can't blame anyone. It's all on you. So the first thing you got to be aware of is most welding businesses will fail, and it will be the owner's fault, no one else's. There's no one that's going to sit there and just take your whining and complaining. You're going to go bankrupt, and there's nothing anyone else could have done about it. It's all on you. So that's the difference between being an employee and becoming a business owner, is it's all on you now, 100%. Which ties into point number two. Point number two is this. As soon as you become a mobile welding business or a welding business of any kind, you've got to realize you are no longer just a welder at all. I've preached this a million times, and I'm going to keep preaching it and keep preaching it. Maybe somebody will actually believe me. Welding is only about 20% of what you do. There's so much more you now have to be aware of. You are a business owner now, not just a welder fabricator. A welder fabricator is what you do. What you are is now a business owner, and you have to facilitate the business. You have to get money coming in. If you don't have jobs coming in or jobs to bid on to make money, it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good to be able to weld, because you'll have nothing to weld on. So I just wrote down just a few things that you are now going to be, an expert or jack of all trades in. You're not just a welder fabricator. These are the job titles you now have as a business owner, and they're very important it is very important that you understand all of them are equally just as important as welding and fabricating. So, here's the list. You are now a salesperson. You've got to sell yourself and the service that you provide, and do it at a very expedient way, so you're not wasting people's time and they understand, wow, this guy's going to solve my problem. Being the salesperson sounds scary, and if you don't like that, you need to start thinking about maybe not being in a welding business, because that's number one, the biggest one. You can't sell yourself, you can't sell your work. If you can't sell your work, you can't get work. If you can't get work, you can't weld. If you can't weld, you can't make money to pay the bills. Next, you gotta be a self-starter. That's pretty evident. I mean, if you can't be a self-starter and you can't get started, wake up on your own schedule, early, show up to work, punch the hours in, get the job done, pre-plan, tons of pre-planning goes in that you don't get paid for, lots of cold calling that you gotta do. You gotta go beating the streets, trying to find some work, talking with people. This is all stuff you gotta do on your own. No one's above you. No foreman's telling you, you need to go do this. This is all on you. If you don't self-start, nothing will ever get done. So that'll be the other reason why you fail. If you can't sell yourself, and if you can't just get yourself to even get started. So number three, you gotta be a productive manager of time. Your time is extremely valuable, and instead of just driving to a job, punching in, working, punching out, going home, now you have to effectively do a little bit of every single one of these things that you're now having to wear a hat for, the position you are in your own welding business. So you got to have proper time allocation for being a salesperson, for being a self-starter, for obviously the rest of the things we're going to get in the list. You got to learn more about what you're doing, learn more about your trade. You got to understand the law, and that goes into number four. You've got to know the law. That's the thing. Ignorance is not an excuse when you get into business. You no longer have the protections that you did as an employee. As a business owner, you are now scrutinized even more so. So you've got to know the law. If you go before the court and say, I just didn't know, I was ignorant of it, I did not know it, and they'll say ignorance is not an excuse. You still got someone extremely hurt, or whatever it is. You've got to know the law before when you get into this. Learn as you go. You don't need to know everything. The law is constantly changing. Or get an attorney. That's another thing. Just hire an attorney or know of an attorney and constantly have his advice. He'll be able to help you out. Next is, obviously, you guys are a welder or fabricator. You could do this if you're an engineer, if you hire out welding. But for the most part, I'm just talking to you guys that are welders. Got to be a welder fabricator. That's the easy part. You already know how to do that. So that one you don't really have to focus too much on. And then lastly is you got to be a jack of all trades. Guys, it's when you're your own business, you're not just welding. You're not just showing up, welding something together, and then leaving. I mean, you've got to be facilitating buying the material on some jobs. You've got to deliver the material, pick up and deliver the material. You got to be fitting. You got to be fabricating. You got to then be installing. If it's pipe, you even got to probably be insulating. You got to be a jack of all trades to be able to do everything that is involved with projects that you take on. And so to go back, I guess I should have done the proper time management last and kind of gone over that. So I mean, you got to take time to learn the law. You got to take time to become efficient at being a jack of all trades. You got to take time at learning how to be a salesperson, and that's all part of proper time management, all these things that are involved. So all that being said, those are two things that are very important. You got to realize is one, most businesses fail, and when they do, it is the business owner's fault. And secondly, when you become a business owner, you are no longer just a welder fabricator. You are now a business owner, so you have to act like one. I myself am still learning. I am not perfect, so do not get that from this video. I'm still doing all these things, still juggling all these, failing at like a third of them. So I'm not preaching at you, telling you get it right. I'm telling you it's a learning process. You might not know it all, but if you still are interested in wanting to do it, you're not daunted by any of those things, and you're actually stoked about learning, I say go for it. Just be aware of it. So you guys have a great day, and as always, I'll talk to you later.